So, what's up YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with the OCG's Forbidden Limited list that will begin January 1st, 2020. Yes, the OCG had just recently received news of their next Forbidden Limited list, and it's got a lot of the TCG players kind of questioning a lot of the things that were hit. Because our potential list, we won't know anything about till after the 13th of January. So, I'll be taking a look at this as per request from a few of the people of those who follow me on Instagram. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, a lot of my all my social media links will be in the description box below. So, if you guys have any questions or anything you want to contribute to the video itself, please feel free to. And just as a fair warning, I don't know a lot of the monsters' names, so if you guys would like to help out with pronunciations, bam, comment section right there. So, without further ado, you guys, let's get into it. So, for the newly forbidden cards in the OCG, as their January 1st list will be in effect, we have Outer Entity Azeroth and Topologic Gambler Dragon as the forbidden cards. For the limited cards, we have Beginning of the End and Zodiac Trident. For the semi-limited, we have the Ultra Guys Miluseek. We have Galati, the Orcost Automaton. We have Orcos Harp Horror. We have Deep Sea Diva, Baby Sarasaurus, Toy Guy from the Underworld, Mathematician, Nev Cross of Unicorn, Thunder Dragon Roar, Salamangreat Circle, Mind Control, Sky Striker Multi-Roll, Allure Darkness, and Red Reboot. And then for the unlimited, we have Unlimited Hero Shadow Mist, Invoked Machabek, Mechabek, or is it Mechabek? Mechabah, sorry. We have the Interacting Kaiju Slimmer, Chain Strike, Reasoning, and Draco Face-Off. So, we're going to actually start off at the top of the list, and we're going to talk about the Outer Entity Azeroth. So, Azeroth isn't too old of a card. I believe the TCG has Azeroth as of, at the time of this recording. I do believe we have Azeroth. Azeroth's overall effect is that if it can put itself on top of a rank 4 if the monsters share the same attribute, and that the material of it at least has to be an Exceed or a Synchro or Link monster. I don't really know too much about Azeroth. However, I do know about one of its devastating effects. Is that if the material of it happens to be an Exceed monster, a Synchro monster, and a Fusion monster, he gains the ability to detach the material from himself and destroy every other card on the field except for itself. Now, I think just on the factor of this is an Exceed monster that has the ability to get itself onto the board from another Exceed, can make it potentially broken when it has such a massive destruction type of effect. Now, when I look at this monster, I do question. A lot of people want to question, well, don't we have other monsters in the archetype that have a similar method to them? Well, yes, we do, because you look at Constellar, we look at, I know Constellar is one, we have a couple of the, we have, Gaia Charger and stuff like that. So, yes, I do understand that we have that, but I think in the current setup of the game right now, this card can be a potential threat just due to the overwhelming amount of things that have gone on with the archetype. And I mean, a lot of archetypes, especially Dark, because Dark can produce a ton of things within itself. So yeah, it's crazy to see this monster go, because I have no real interaction with this card. But if something is that broken in the OCG and they're questioning it, well, by all means, and if you have to, you gotta do what you gotta do. All right, next up is the Tapologic Gambler Dragon. So this is a monster that we have seen here in the TCG do some crazy damage, and because of what it did, it ended up getting forbidden. So if you're not too familiar with this monster, the monster's ability is that one, it has hand control, and two, the monster has the ability to inflict 3,000 points of damage to your opponent. Even though both effects are once a turn, the Tapologic Gambler Dragon can be seen as a bit of an issue just because of its accessibility. This monster points up, down, right, left for its link monsters. I think this thing is also a 3K attacker and just has a lot of potential FTK as attire and in hand destruction, which I do believe it has some of that as well. Which can also state to the point that OCG didn't hit this card before the TCG did. I mean, even with its overwhelming effect and its overwhelming abilities, you got a question now. Alright, so we move on from the limited. Actually, give me 1 second. Okay. Alright, guys, I'm back. So, we're going to actually take a look at the next part of the list, and that happens to be Zodiac Dryden and Beginning of the End. So, we'll start off with Zodiac Dryden. This was a monster that was one of the many leads of monsters for its archetype, the Zodiac. This monster has a ton of accessibility to any deck that runs level 4s and can spam level 4s for rank 4 spam. Now, the thing about this monster is its ability to destroy stuff on the field by detaching material from itself once a turn. And this can potentially be a problem only because of the fact that it has such great accessibility. Zodiac Dryden, from what I have experienced, what I've played, and what I have done overall with the monster itself, the card is broke. I will give it that. But the card is not devastating as it used to be. And I do believe a lot of its indirect support and a lot of its direct support has been hit within both the TCG and the OCG. Seeing it come back to 1, let's see how it pans out. I don't think it is as broken as it is, and because of how the whole situation is with Link Monsters has become, I mean, Zodiac, to see it come back could be a potential situation, but is it strong enough to keep itself going with what it has? Can be the question. Um, does it have to pair itself again with multiple archetypes to keep itself going? Or can it stand alone on a rogue? I think it'll be different for the OCG because the OCG still has cards like the grass is greener. It has fairy tale snow. So it has a lot of that 60 card ass deck that it can still benefit from. As far as everything else goes, I can't really say except for if it's back, and then just plan accordingly to defend yourself against it. Next is the beginning of the end. This is actually one of the most random things I've ever seen. Getting hit on a Forbidden Limited list. If you're not too familiar with the beginning of the end, it pretty much says if you have exactly 7 dark monsters in your graveyard, you can banish up to 5 of them and special summon, draw 3 cards from your deck. So pretty much this is a stronger Allure Darkness. What this card can potentially do is, well, the Orcast or the Orcos. I keep getting these monsters' names together. I think it's called Orcos, but if anyone wants to correct me on it, comment section. So what it's supposed to potentially help them do is set up for a lot of their recovery with their dark attributed machine monsters. I didn't know how many they had. Then I looked at the archetype, and then I'm scared. Not to mention how much access this deck has to Foolish Burial like effects, banishing like effects, searching for cards, putting cards from the banish back to the deck or the graveyard. Just the whole big account of accessibility that this deck, that archetype has. I mean, there also are potential other decks that could take advantage of the banishing darks to draw cards from the deck. There's also just the overwhelming amount of support Dark has over, well, the entire series of Yu-Gi-Oh! So this could be a potential thing that could help it being at one, or maybe it's just to, um, prepare for something else to come. Because we did get an announcement that there are three more archetypes being introduced in another special set, and potentially one of them is zombie. So maybe that can help, or maybe there's some dark monsters coming in the plant variants deck that's coming, or maybe there's some in the rock type deck. We may never know. But we move on from the limited, and now we move on to the large amount of semi-limited. So we have the Ultra Geist Maluseek. The Maluseek is one of those level one monsters that the Ultra Guys have that allow them to get into their monsters. It has the ability to attack directly. It has this ability to swap itself for a Link 1 monster. So you have its potential combinations with cards like Link Kuribo, what is it, Relinquish, and stuff like that. So it has a lot of playability to itself. It has a lot of search to itself. It can attack directly. So it has a lot of things going. Now, me seeing it at 2, kind of just in addition to a lot of the things that were hit with the Ultra Geist, the Ultra Geist aren't as big of an issue deck as most people were dealing with before, because there are still a lot of combinations of things that you can still change to cards like Secret Visual Spellcasters, dealing with anti-spell fragrance, and stuff like that. Um, we're actually just going to move on from the Ultra Geist because there really isn't much to really say about this hit, except for it's at 2, and I believe there are other Ultra Geist cards hit as well, but you haven't really seen much of the deck. But the deck still can make an appearance and make a strong one. So let's move on to the Orcost. Orcost. I want to call it an Orcost. And we have the Orcost Automaton Galaxy. Galaxy, uh, she is crazy. She is crazy. Um, if she's linked to something, she can be destroyed at battle. She can send stuff to the graveyard. She can return stuff from the banished to the hand. She has a lot of potential flow. Now, this is where I kind of say she kind of should have been the one, just because of how good she is. But I don't know the deck myself too much. I have started recently testing against it, and yeah, it earns its status for being tier. I will give it that. I think at a point we're gonna see more hits later on, but I think right now they're just trying to see what they can hit, see how the deck still plays with those specific hits. Which I think at this point, because of who they hit, it's not going to be too much of a stretch. Because we also talk about Harp Horror, and no, I don't think this um, will hurt them as much as the OCG may think it does. Maybe it'll just slow down a lot of the search and push, but for the most part, I do see it affecting the OCG, but not as big as people probably think it would. Now let's talk about DC Diva. Diva just received her own archetype of the Deep Sea cards, and a lot of them do revolve around other aqua type monsters and their ability to interact with other water and aqua type, well, mainly other water cards. Um, for the most part, with DC Diva, I think this was a good pull because you can easily promote the rest with her new cards being promoted, because she's getting the synchro, she's getting the spell. I believe she's getting two or three monsters, no, three monsters in addition to the synchro monster. That's four, and I also believe that the synchro monster is also a tuner. So that's a big step there. And then today, at the time of this recording, they just announced Aria, the water charmer, um, the link monster she's getting has also been announced. So we're going to see a lot of water playing around. We could potentially see Mermail taking advantage of it, because Mermail can interact with Diva extremely well. And they do have their own link monster. They have their own various ways of putting heavy suits onto the board. So we could potentially see a lot more of this going. Next up is Baby Sarasaurus. I think this is just to deal with dinos, because dinos is still a thing. Dino Orcs, Shadal Dino. Just Dino is you never really thought Dino would be a thing to actually have to look at or worry about, and they're making themselves that thing that to worry about when you least expect it. And to see the Sabersaurus, the baby Sabersaurus get hit, that just thing's broken. Like this card and the baby Teratops or the baby no not baby the berry Triceratops. Yeah, those things crazy broken. Especially with the dinosaur boss monster, the Tyranno, a lot of the distraction effects that occur to cards in the hand. Like, yeah, you start popping off stuff, and you start summoning dinosaurs out the wazoo, and they just keep going and going. Next up is Tour Guide from the Underworld. I like to see Tour Guide in the Underworld come to 2 on the TCG side. She's a great boost for a lot of um, Exceed spam. She's great for Link spam. She could potentially give a boost to BA because BA does take advantage of Tour Guide and her ability to get a lot of the BA monsters from the from the main deck because a lot of them are level 3. There's a lot of just good corresponding decks that can take advantage of such a generic monster with such a generic flow to her. And that's also part of the reason why she ended up getting limited was because of how easy of a flow she had for links and potentially exceeds before they came out. So that's the beautiful tour guide from the underworld. Mathematician is just pretty much the standard monster of normal summon, foolish burial. When I'm destroyed, draw a card, which isn't bad. It's not at all. It can be very abusable, which can see itself getting hit to 3. I mean, the 2, instead of it being a 3, or maybe it just needs to be that additional push to a lot of other decks, so maybe that's why it's back at 2. Because I don't remember the last time I looked at the OCG list and seen the various changes. With that said, Necross of Unicorn was one of the broken assets to the Necross, and to see this monster going to 2 in the OCG means they're just trying to give it some more flair to itself. I think also with banning Outer Entity, Azeroth can also account to this too, because you can take advantage of going into the level the 4 um, Link monster and taking advantage of that with that combination. So you have Instant Fusion, a Ritual Monster, Herald, and then just, Exceed away. But this monster on its own is really good because it negates all of the extra deck monsters' effects while this card's on the board. So it helps with that, which forces them to have to use other monsters who happen to be beaters and not be able to activate their effects. And not too bad on its own stats. The Thunder Dragon, the Thunder Dragon Roar, Thunder Dragon, the Power Crep, the deck, and this is a hit that I'm pretty sure some people would want to see. I'm just shocked it's the only one that got hit. But I do remember a lot of the other cards on either side did get hit. So, yeah. All right, that's Thunder Roar. Salamander Circle. Why is that at 2? I thought they were trying to kill off the Salamander, and here they're giving it another boost. So I mean, that's the fluctuation they want to give. That go for it. It's a Forbidden Lance, and it's also their Rhoda, all in one card. You have to pick and choose which one you're gonna do, but trust and believe with the way the Salamander set themselves up, that would not be an issue. Trying to get cards from the graveyard back to the field. Mind Control and Sky Striker multi roll. So these are cards that hit due to Sky Striker still being a good deck and now being even more splashable than before. So hitting the Mind Control hits the generic play that Mind Control has, and then hitting multi roll because of how many things you can just snatch from your opponent with Mind Control. And get rid of it because so many things happen to be easy to take control of without having to special summon, and then with variations of Sky Strikers that do run card to the mind. This card does not hurt. Neither does the mind control, because those are additional cards in the graveyard, additional cards to be get rid of. Allure Darkness. Allure, it being hit to 2 is kind of in the same sense of the beginning of the end being hit. You know, all this banishing of dark monsters and those dark monsters being able to find other cards to help assist in a lot of the combo game. So, Allure, and then the only other card is Red Reboot, which it's a very rare occasion to see a trap card get hit. It's actually a very generic one. Because of what this card can do, I can honestly see why it's going to be at 2. Very splashable in the side deck, very mainable in the main deck. Forcing your opponent to get a trap card from the deck and placing it face down, and then not being able to activate any other spells and traps while they wait for the turn and can't activate any trap cards until the end of the turn. Until their turn begins. So, or the end of the turn. So, yeah, that is the Red Reboot, and then we look at all the cards that are no longer limited. So, Elemental Hero Shadow Mist is probably just to correspond with the Elemental Hero Stratos being unlimited. Invoke Machaba. Safe assumption that this card is as broken as it is. It's only unlimited now because there's other things to worry about besides Machaba. And the fact that like Invoked isn't a bad deck. It's just very questionable where it is at most points. Um, it's not a bad deck. It's just fusion, and we have shit all. Interrupting Kaiju Slumber coming back. What OCG has 3 of these things, and Kaiju are just pretty much side cards at that point. Chain Strike. Okay, this is a question we'll think. You ban a monster that does burn damage and hand destruction, and then you give us Chain Strike. Or well, you give OCG Chain Strike, and most OCG tournaments do like burn. So, good luck with that. Wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing burn decks pop up in the OCG. Reasoning. Back at 3, I mean, a lot of the corresponding cards are either already banned, suck, or limited. So, seeing this go back to 3, it's not bad. And then Draco Face Off, I guess to give Pendulums that more of a big aspect to playing more Pendulum-esque decks. And then this gives the Draco Overlords and the Draco Slayer some more play, because Master Pendulum, the Draco Slayer, Overlord, Draco Overlord, the Pendulum, Draco Overlord, the Pendulum, you guys know who I'm talking about. All the Draco Slayers, from the Dark ones to the Light ones, the one Synchro, the Fusion, the Exceed, all of them getting Draco Face Off, and Draco Face Off is just a really good card for Pendulum decks. So that is pretty much my whole look at the OCG's Forbidden Limited list. And don't worry, I will have a link to it so you guys can look at it yourselves. And my overall thing about this is I'm more so waiting to see what the TCGs is going to look like. Will it take some aspirations of this list and put it onto their own? What things to await, and we already have enough other stuff to talk about here from the TCG. So, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you guys have any of your own opinions about the next, about the OCGs for the limited list, or any on our TCGs for the limited list to come, leave them in the comment section below. Thanks everybody for watching, and HBJ signing out. Take care.